Recording in progress. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. All right. Today I want to deal with bearing false witness is a sin. Oh, that's the title of it, but it's kind of my focus is on sometimes the diligent worker doing what they supposed to do at work will get some undue pressure based on lies. So I'm gonna go ahead and get into this. I want to do some reading and share some text, but also a narrative, a story. So let's get at it. Abiyah, thank you for the Shabbat. Thank you for this opportunity to talk to myself. This is something that I'm personally dealing with, so I want to minister to myself today. And basically, any others out here that are listening that this benefits, I'm thankful for that. But I need to minister to myself and just seek you out for your will being done on this earth as it is in the Shamayim. So I thank you, Yah. Thank you for today, as any and every day. And also, may I gain more rest through this day. Rest of my mind, rest of my anger, rest of my thoughts. Yada Yahuwah. Okay. So let me start off with some text. Where I'm gonna go first is over here to Shemot. Exodus, I do believe this is Exodus 20 and 16. And this is a part of the law or the Torah. And it says, you do not bear false witness against your neighbor. I've many times taught that the neighbor situation is dealing with Israel, but bearing false witness in general is a problem. Let's move to the next text. Tehillim, or Psalms 4. Says, tremble and do not sin. Speak within your heart on your bed and be still. Selah. It's dealing with to be angry and sin not. So let's go to Ephesians 4 and 26. I'm gonna read from the King James because the version I like to read the 2009. It says be wroth, but I wanted to hit people where they have some commonality in comprehension. It says, be ye angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath, neither give place to Hasatan, or the devil. All right. Michelle, Proverbs 3. What's verse 5? It says, trust in Yahuwah with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Know him in all your ways, and he makes all your paths straight. Here's the last corresponding verse. That was the last corresponding verse. Now I'm gonna get to the story, get to the narrative. So what I want to talk about is Yosef. Yosef in the house of Potiphar. So I'm gonna start off here, and I'm gonna read it in the Brit Hadashah. Excuse me, not in the Tanakh. Excuse me. Read it in the Tanakh. But I want to compare and contrast to the book of Yasher. I know many people don't accept the book of Yasher, but I think it gives more details to the story. I know some people say that it's not real, but it still has the same basis. So I just want to emphasize it. This is just for I guess learning or comprehensions. That's all it's for. If you don't accept Yasher, cool, but you can still get something from the principle that I'm about to, deal with. The bearing of false witness. So let's get at it. Bereshit, or Genesis 39, and it says, and Yosef had been taken down to Mizraim. Mizraim is Egypt. And Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard of Mizraim, brought him from the Ishmaelites who had taken him down there. You know who Ishmael is? That's Isaac's brother or an Abraham's son. These are descendants of them. And it came to be that Yahuwah was with Joseph, and he became a prosperous man, even though he was under bondage, and was in the house of of his master, the Mizraim. And his master saw that Yahuwah was with him, and that Yahuwah made all he did, to prosper in his hand. So Joseph found favor in his eyes and served him, and he appointed him over his house and gave into his hand all that he had. He trusted him. And it came to be from the time that he appointed him over his house and all that he had, that Yahuwah favored the Mizraim's house for Joseph's sake, and the favor of Yahuwah was on all that he had in the house and in the field. And he left in Joseph's hand all that he had, and he did not know what he had except for the bread which he ate. So he ain't even he ain't have a list or nothing. He didn't inventory none of his stuff. He said, "Here, you got it." He just know he was bringing forth increase, and he like, "You got it." And Joseph was handsome in form and handsome in appearance. That boy looked good. He was built up, shaped up. He looked good for a young man. And after these events, it came to be that his master's wife lifted up her eyes to Joseph and said, "Lie with me." She like, "Sleep with me, have sex with me." But he refused and said to his master's wife, "Look, my master does not know what is with me in the house. He don't even know what possessions he have. He done left this with me. And he has given into my hand all that he has. I got access to everything my master had. He trusts me. I'm not finna touch his woman." And it says, "No one is greater in his house than I, and he has not withheld whatever from me but you. You're the only thing I ain't supposed to touch, because you are his wife. And how shall I do this great evil and sin against Elohim?" He didn't even say sin against Potiphar. He said sin against Elohim. But he ain't gonna, no, he don't want to sin against the Most High. And it came to be, as she spoke to Joseph day by day, that he did not listen to her. Like, I ain't trying to hear that. To lie with her, to be with her. And like, nah, he wasn't even tempted. And it came to be on a certain day when Joseph went into the house to do his work, and none of the men of the house was inside, that she caught him by his garment, saying, "Lie with me. Give me some of that good stuff." But he left his garment in her hand and fled and ran outside. And it came to be when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and fled outside, that she called the men of the house and spoke to them, saying, "See, he has brought in to us a Hebrew to mock us." This dang on Israelite in here, you know, he tried to rape me. Man, that for, oh my goodness, that the bearing false witness, man, that's a hot mess. And you see, he was a good worker, just doing his job. He wasn't thinking about that woman. He came in to me to lie with me, and I cried out with a loud voice. And it came to be when he heard that I lifted my voice and cried out, that he left his garment with me and fled and went outside. And she kept his garment with her until his master came home. This dude, Joseph ran away naked. and she spoke to him the same words. So she telling Potiphar the same words, saying, "The Hebrew servant who you brought to us came to me to mock me." So it came to be as I lifted my voice and cried out that he left his garment with me and fled outside. She done made up a whole big story, a big old lie, because she couldn't get what she wanted. She couldn't do what she wanted to do. And it came to be when his master heard the words which his wife spoke to him, saying, "Your servant did to me according to these words, that his displeasure burned." He got angry. Then Joseph's master took him and put him into prison, a place where the sovereign's prisoners were confined, and he was there in prison. But Yahuwah was with Joseph and extended loving commitment to him, and he gave him favor in the eyes of the prison warden. I'm gonna stop right there. Let me stop sharing my screen for a minute. All he wanted to do is do his work. This man who was a son of a man with what 10 at 10, 11. So yeah, he had I think Benjamin was born. So 11 other son. He sold off into bondage, and he prospering at, even in bondage. He laboring, he working hard. He building up that man house so much that that man trusted him and basically backed away and said, "You got that. I ain't even got to watch over. You got that. Just don't touch." He ain't even I don't even think he told him not to touch his woman. He ain't even consider that might even happen. But this woman, like, I got access to all this stuff too. But I don't want that. I want him. And she probably ain't never been denied ever. She got whatever she wanted. Oh, give me a ring. Give me a new chariot. Give me this. She probably ain't never heard no. She heard no that day. People that's able to get away with any and everything, it really frustrates them when they run into somebody who impedes them from doing what they want to do. My work situation, I'm not going to go into in details, but I impeded somebody just doing the work that I'm supposed to do. And they weren't able to do what they wanted to do. And so to deflect from off of them being denied or them being told to do something that they didn't want to do, that was within the rules and the governance of the job, journey obviously bound. Oh, they're going to defame and throw out a story and narrative to deflect from them. They're going to flat out lie, basically. And I'm over here angry than a mug. I ain't gonna even lie. I'm angry, but I'm not. I know I'm under authority. I'm sinning. Sinning is not an option, really. Though I want to. I want to. You didn't see in that narrative. You see nowhere that Yosef disparaged Potiphar's wife. He could have, but he like he went on and took it to the head. He went on to win the prison. So let's go over to Yasher, and I'm gonna read there and see, basically it got a lot more detail and stuff like that. And of course, people will say, "Oh, that ain't real, whatever." But okay, cool. I still want to share it anyway. I want to share it anyway. So let me go back to sharing my screen. And so, all right, Book of Yasher is in chapter 44. I'm gonna go down to verse 11, and it says, "And Potiphar took Joseph and brought him to his house that he might serve him." So I'm starting over the whole narrative again so you can see the added emphasis because this is a little bit longer. It's a little bit more detailed. And Joseph found favor in the sight of Potiphar, and he placed confidence in him and made him overseer over his house. And all that belonged to him he delivered over into his hand. And Yahuwah was with Joseph, and he became a prosperous man. And Yahuwah favored the house of Potiphar for the sake of Joseph. And Potiphar left all that he had in the hand of Joseph, and Joseph was one that caused things to come in and go out, and everything was regulated by his wish in the house of Potiphar. So though he had a master, he became a master, an authority in this man's house. I work security, so I'm an authority within the business that I work. I still work for somebody, so I have somebody that's over me, but I'm viewed as an authority. I have rules that I have to follow. It ain't because I want to, it's because that's the rules I have to follow. I'm not picking on anybody, I'm doing what I'm told to do. I'm trying to be an obedient servant. But let's keep going. And Joseph was 18 years old, mm, a youth with beautiful eyes, of comely appearance, and like unto him was not in the whole land of Egypt. That boy was fine. And I'm not uncomfortable saying that about a male because, again, I'm telling a narrative or whatever. And I think I'm fine too. Now, let me stop. Yeah, my wife said, yes, you are. Let me stop. But at that time, whilst he was in his master's house, going in and going out the house and attending his master, Zilica. Oh, gives a name. We didn't get a name in the other narrative. Zilica, his master's wife, lifted up her eyes toward Yosef, and she looked at him. And behold, he was a youth, comely and well favored. She like, mm. Like, whew, I got this old man in Potiphar. Man, look at that young, fine young stallion. Ooh, look at him. And she coveted his beauty in her heart. She's like, I want some of that. Come on. She was lusting after that dude. Come on. And her soul was fixed upon Yosef as she enticed him day by day after day. She kept flirting with him, Baruch. And Zelica persuaded Yosef daily. She kept flirting with him. But Yosef did not lift up his eyes to behold his master's wife. He didn't even pay her no attention. She could have been fine as one. Likely she was. But he like, that is not why I'm here. I'm about managing my master's house, and that's what I'm doing. And Zelica said unto him, how goodly are thy appearance and form. Truly I have looked at all the slaves, and have not seen so beautiful a slave as thou art. And Joseph said to her, surely he who created me in my mother's womb created all mankind. So he deflected that compliment, like, he created all mankind, so he deflected that. And she said unto him, how beautiful are thine eyes. Man, she up there she really putting it in thick. How beautiful are thine eyes, and which has dazzled all the inhabitants of Egypt, men and women. Like, oh, everybody wants you. And he said unto her, how beautiful are they are, whilst we hold on. How beautiful they are whilst we are alive. But shouldest thou behold them in the grave, surely you wouldn't move away from them. It's like if you seen them in the grave, you move. So basically saying what you doing gonna cause me to get killed. So if you see them in the grave, you ain't gonna have no desire for them then. And she said unto him, how beautiful and pleasing are all thy words. She is thick. Take now, I pray thee, the harp which is in the house, and play with thy hands, and let us hear thy words. She wanting to play music, and she want to hear him sing, I guess, or even spoken word. She want to hear what he got to say. She all enamored in him. She doing too much for a married woman. And he said unto her, how beautiful and pleasing are my words when I speak the praise of my Yah, my Elohim, and his glory. And she said unto him, how very beautiful is the hair on thy head. Behold, the golden comb which is in the house. Take it, I pray, and curl the hair of thy head. She like, run the comb through your hair. Ooh, ooh. She just doing too much. And he said unto her, how long will thou speak these words? Like, cut out all this flattery, cut all this flirting out. Cease to utter these words to me, and rise and attend to thy domestic affairs. You're like, go on about your business. Go do what you're supposed to be doing. Let me work in peace. And she said unto him, there is no one in my house, and there is nothing to attend to but to thy words and thy wish. She like, we alone. Let's play. Yet withstanding all this, she could not bring Yosef unto her. Neither did he place his eyes upon her, but directed his eyes below to the ground. He ain't trying to give her no attention. And Zelicah desired Yosef in her heart that he would lie with her. And at the time that Yosef was sitting in the house doing his work, Zelicah came and sat before him, and she enticed him daily with her discourse to lie with her, and ever to look at her. But Yosef would not hearken to her. He ain't paying her no mind. She trying to seduce this boy. Mm-mm. And she said unto him, if thou wilt not do according to my words, I will chastise thee with the punishment of death and put an iron yoke upon you. She trying to she like, I'm gonna kill you, boy. Give me some of that. Oh my goodness, she put pressure on this boy. And Joseph said unto her, surely Yahuwah who created man looses the fetters of prisoners, and it is he who will deliver me from thy prison and from thy judgment. Mm-mm-mm. You ain't finna force me, peer pressure me. You're not gonna scare me into giving in to you. And when she could not prevail over him to persuade him, and her soul being still fixed upon him, her desire threw her into a grievous sickness. Man, she lusting over this boy heavy to the point that it's making her sick. And all the women of Egypt came to visit her, and they said unto her, why art thou in this declining state? What's wrong with you? Why you looking like you sick? You got this good man here, this big old house, and you tripping. What's wrong with you? Thou that lackest nothing, surely thy husband is a great and esteemed prince in the sight of the king. Shouldst thou lack anything of what thy heart desireth? And Zelicah answered them, saying, this day it shall be made known to you, whence this disorder springs in which you see me. And she commanded her maidservants to prepare food for all the women, and she made a banquet for them, and all the women ate in the house of Zelicah. And she gave them knives to peel the citrons. Citrons are like oranges, to eat the citrus fruits, to eat them. And she commanded that they should dress Joseph in costly garments. So she finna, parade him, have him model in front of them. So they got knives and just thinking, they peeling these fruit. And here come Joseph in these costly garments, and that he should appear before them. And Joseph came before their eyes, and all the women looked on Joseph and could not take their eyes from off him. Man, he was fine. And they all cut their hands with the knives. They couldn't focus on the task at hand of cutting the citrons. And they done cut their hands with the knives that they had in their hand, and all the citrons were in their hands were filled with blood. And they knew not what they had done. They were so into him, they didn't even know they cut themselves. But they continued to look at the beauty of Joseph and did not turn their eyelids from him. And Zelicah saw what they had done, and she said unto them, What is this work that you have done? Behold, I gave you citrons to eat, and you have all cut your hands. And all the women saw their hands, and behold, they were full of blood, and their blood flowed down upon their garments. And they said unto her, This slave in your house has overcome us, and we could not turn our eyelids from him on account of his beauty. Man, they didn't even turn to lust. And she said unto them, Surely this happened to you in the moment that you looked at him, and you could not contain yourselves from him. How then can I refrain when he is constantly in my house? And I see him day after day going in and out in my house. How then can I keep from declining or even perishing on account of this? Look, I'm going to stop just for a hot second. Just for a second. This is why if you're a person of wealth and means, you should consider who you have as a housekeeper or working in your house. For real. You could have a person that is loyal to you and the staff person still be loyal to you too. But if they look like all that, come on, compromise can come about. You know, you always see these movies and stuff like that where the woman in the house, she at home alone while the husband out working, end up messing with the pool boy. Or the husband, the money, all that money, end up messing with the maid or the babysitter. You might want to get somebody more homely. Yeah, okay, the other person looking good doing the job, but no, you might want to be wise in your decision to have somebody in your home that can compete with the affection of the person that you are engaged with. Be wise. Especially, come on. Okay, you got a man in your house, your husband and stuff like that. He up in age, but now you have went past your birthing age. He love you and he intimate with you, but you got this young thing walking around there bending over, picking up stuff. And she ain't had no children. She built like a do 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 do. Mm, stop playing with yourself. You setting it, come on. Why put that temptation before somebody? Really, gotta operate in some level of wisdom and consider who you allowing in your house. Potiphar wasn't doing nothing wrong by having yourself, but man, you got this woman that's used to having everything she want. You think she ain't gonna want him too? Let me get back to the story. You know that sometimes we got to make some decisions based on the aesthetics that's around us, because that type of weakness is common in people. You see something that you want and you want it. Okay. And she said unto them, Surely this has happened to you in a moment that you looked at him. You desired him, and you could not contain yourselves from him. How then can I refrain when he is constantly in my house? I get to see him every single day. And man, he fine. You know, that's basically what she's saying. She's like, ooh, I gotta have some of that. I gotta see what it's working with, see what it's about. And I see him day after day going in and out in my house. She loves seeing him walking towards her. She loves seeing him walking away. And she like, man, I get to see this all day. My husband away, and oh, I just seen him. Oh, I just seen him. And she, is like boom, boom. She could bounce her eyes on it so much. She's just like, oh, she dead wrong. But she like, this temptation is greater than me. And I see him day after day going in and out of my house. How then can I keep from declining or even perishing on account of this? And they said unto her, The words are true. For who can see this beautiful form in the house and refrain from him? And is not thy slave and attendant in thy house? Why dost thou not tell him that which is in thy heart? and sufferest thy soul to perish through this matter. They telling her to talk to the slave, talk to Yosef. And she said unto them, I am daily endeavoring to persuade him. She like, look, I'm willing to risk it all. She telling her friends, I'm willing to risk it all for this, you know, and he will not consent to my wishes. And I promised him everything that is good, and yet I could meet with no return from him. I am therefore in a declining state, as you see. And Zelicah became very ill on account of her desire toward Yosef, as she was desperately lovesick on account of him. And all the people of the house of Zelicah and her husband knew nothing of this matter, that Zelicah was ill on account of her love. No, that wasn't love, that was her lust to Yosef. And all the people of the house asked her, saying, Why art thou ill and declining, and lackest nothing? And she said unto them, I know not this thing which is daily increasing upon me. And all the women and her friends came daily to see her, and they spoke with her. And she said unto them, This can only be through the love or the lust, that's lust, of Yosef. And they said unto her, Entice him and seize him secretly. Perhaps he may hearken to thee and put off his death from thee. And Zelicah became worse from her lust. I ain't gonna keep saying love because that ain't no love to Yosef. And she continued to decline till she had scarce strength to stand. She probably wasn't eating. She probably wasn't even putting her makeup on like she had been. She ain't been dialing herself up, none of that. Cause she like, I want him. And on a certain day, Yosef was doing his master's work in the house, and Zelicah came secretly and fell suddenly upon him. It sounded like she was, groping him and everything. And Yosef rose up against her. He's like, Get up off me, get up off me. And he was more powerful than she. And he brought her down to the ground, and he like, knocked her off of him. Get up off me. And Zelicah wept on account of the desire of her heart toward him, and she supplicated him with weeping. So she cried. So he like, this is my master wife. He over there trying to console her, basically. And her tears flowed down her cheek, and she spoke unto him in a voice of supplication and in bitterness of soul, saying, Hast thou ever heard, seen, or known of so beautiful a woman as I am? She trying to, I, I look good. Why you don't want me? This is, I don't know. I used to be a little, I used to be a mess. So I know how that is to have women just think because they look so good, you supposed to want them. And that's some, yeah, anyway, I'm gonna leave that alone. Yeah, that ego is something serious. Hast thou ever heard, seen, or known of so beautiful a woman as I am, or better than myself, who speak daily unto you, fall into a decline through love or lust for thee, confer all this honor upon thee, and thou wilt not hearken to my voice. Look, a man with self-control and discipline of his sexual self, come on. That right there is very desirable a lot of times. That makes you even more desirable when willing to tell the finest of woman, nah, I'm straight. That makes you even more desirable to them. I'm straight. And if it be through fear of thy master, lest he punish thee, as the king liveth, no harm shall come to thee from thy master through this thing. She like, I'm gonna make sure you straight. You ain't gotta worry about being, killed or nothing. Just come on, give me some. Now therefore, pray, listen to me, and consent for the sake of the honor which I have conferred upon thee. She like, this is an honor to you. You just a slave. He like, nah, I want no business here. And put off this death from me, and why should I die for thy sake? And she ceased to speak. And Joseph answered her, saying, Refrain from me, and leave this matter to my master. Behold, my master knoweth not what there is with me in the house. For all that belongeth to him he has delivered into my hand. And how shall I do these things in my master's house? He like, I'm an honorable person. I'm loyal to my master. I am not finna touch his woman. I got hold of everything he got except you. And I'm gonna stay in that lane. I ain't trying to cross that lane. I'm good right here. For he have also greatly honored me in his house, and he have also made me overseer over his house, and he have exalted me, and there is no one greater in his house than I am. And my master hath refrained nothing from me, excepting thee, who art his wife. How then canst thou speak these words unto me? And how can I do this great evil and sin to Yahuwah and to thy husband? Now therefore, refrain from me, and speak no more such words as these, for I will not hearken. I will not listen to thy words. I will not adhere. I will not um consent to what your words are. But Zedekiah would not hearken to Joseph when he spoke these words unto her, but she daily enticed him to listen to her. So she kept at it. And it was after this that the brook of Egypt was filled above all its sides, and all the inhabitants of Egypt went forth, and also the king and princes went forth with timbrels and dances, for it was a great rejoicing in Egypt, and a holiday at that time of the inundation of the sea Sahara, and they went there to rejoice all the day. And when the Egyptians went out to the river to rejoice, as was their custom, all the people of the house of Potiphar went with them, all of them. But Zelicah would not go with them, for she said, I am indisposed. And she remained alone in the house, and no other person was with her in the house. And she rose up and ascended to her temple in the house, and dressed herself in princely garments, and she placed upon her head precious stones of onyx stones inlaid with silver and gold, and she beautified her face and skin with all sorts of women's purifying liquids, and she perfumed the temple and the house with cassia and frankincense. And she spread myrrh and aloes, and she afterwards sat in the entrance of the temple in the passage of the house through which Joseph passed to do his work. And behold, Joseph came from the field and entered the house to do his master's work. Mm-mm-mm. She done set a trap. And he came to the place through which he had to pass, and he saw all the work of Zelicah, and he turned back. He like, uh-oh, I smell. Oh, she got the smell good on. Oh man, look at what I'm out. And Zelicah saw Joseph turning back from her, and she called out to him, saying, What aileth thee, Joseph? Where you think you going? Come to thy work. You better get over here and do your job. And behold, I will make room for thee until thou shalt pass to thy seat. And Joseph returned. He like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go do my job. Man, reminds me of I didn't want to do my job at the moment. I wanted somebody else to do it, but I had to go do my job and end up dealing with this person that bared false witness on me. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, and Joseph returned and came to the house and passed from thence to the place of his seat, and he sat down to do his master's work as usual. And behold, Zelicah came to him and stood before him in princely garments, and the scent from her clothes was spread to a distance. He could smell the smell good from a distance. And she hastened and caught hold of Joseph and his garments. Come on, come here, boy. Get over here. All right, let me stop. And she hastened and caught hold of Joseph in his garments. And she said unto him, As the king liveth, if thou wilt not perform my request, thou shalt die this day. She like, you ain't getting away from me today. I done dialed myself up. You gonna give me some. And she hastened and stretched forth her hand and drew a sword from beneath her garments, and she placed it upon Joseph's neck. And she said, rise and perform my request. If not, thou diest this day. She like, I'm finna rape you. Grape you. I shouldn't say, I don't want this to get banned off, but she finna take her son. And Joseph was afraid of her at her doing this thing. And he rose up to flee from her. And she seized the front of his garment. She done ripped this boy's drawers. And in the terror of his flight, the garment which Zelicah seized was torn. And Joseph left the garment in the hand of Zelicah, and he fled and got out, for he was in fear. That boy running, he running whole, he like, oh. Them boys were swinging. Now let me stop. Let me stop. And when Zelicah saw that Joseph's garment was torn, and that he had left it in her hand, and had fled, she was afraid for her life, lest the report should spread concerning her. She like, that boy gonna tell on me. And she rose up and acted with cunning and put off the garments of which she was dressed. She took off all of that stuff, because she was wearing stuff that it would look pretty odd. She took all of that seducing clothes off, and she put on her other garments. And she took Joseph's garment and she laid it beside her. And she went and seated herself in the place where she had sat in her illness, before the people of her house had gone out to the river. And she called a young lad who was then in the house, and she ordered him to call the people to the house to her. And when she saw them, she said unto them with a loud voice and lamentation, see, what a Hebrew your master has brought to me in the house, for he came this day to lie with me. Man, this treacherous woman, she lying her tail off. Boy, for when you had gone out, he came to the house, and seeing there was no person in the house, he came unto me and caught hold of me with intent to lie with me. And I seized his garments and tore them and called out against him with a loud voice. And when I lifted up my voice, he was afraid of his life and left his garments before me and fled. And the people of the house spoke nothing. They like, I don't think they believed her. But their wrath was much kindled. Oh, maybe they did, much kindled against Joseph. And they went to the master and told him the words of his wife. It says, wow, they misspelled that, but what wife? And Potiphar came home enraged, and his wife cried out to him, saying, what is this thing that thou hast done unto me in bringing a Hebrew servant into my house? For he came unto me this day to sport with me, to have sex with me. Thus did he do unto me this day. And Potiphar heard his words of his wife, and he ordered Joseph to be punished with severe stripes. And they did so to him. So they whooped him. He got chastened. And whilst they were smiting him, here it goes, Joseph called out with a loud voice, and he lifted up his eyes to heaven, and he said, O Yahuwah Elohim, thou knowest that I am innocent of all these things, and why shall I die this day through falsehood? That's my question. Why should I have to deal with all of the stress and the issues of being someone bearing false witness? By the hand of these uncircumcised wicked men whom thou knowest. And while Potiphar's men were beating Joseph, he continued to cry out and weep. And there was a child there, 11 months old. Now, this is the key thing. This is, of course, not like the 66 book. And there was a child, 11 months old. 11 months old. Just think about it. And Yahuwah opened the mouth of the child, and he spake these words before Potiphar's men who were smiting Joseph, saying, what do you want of this man, and why do you do this evil unto him? My mother speaketh falsely and utter lies. Thus was the transaction. The woman, Zelicah, her child untold on her. His first words is busting her out. And the child told them accurately all that happened, and all the words of Zelicah to Joseph day after day did he declare unto them. And all the men heard the words of the child, and they wondered greatly at the child's words. And the child ceased to speak and became still. So these is first words, and then it shut up. And Potiphar was very much ashamed at the words of his son, and he commanded his men not to beat Joseph any more, and the men ceased beating Joseph. And Potiphar took Joseph and ordered him to be brought to justice before the priests, who were judges belonging to the king, in order to judge him concerning his affair. That man was embarrassed. This woman that he done gave everything risked it all to be with a slave, and his own child then outed her. And Potiphar and Joseph came before the priests, who were the king's judges, and he said unto them, Decide, I pray you, what judgment is due to a servant, for thus has he done. Okay, that's the narrative. That's the story. She wanted that boy, that young man, so much that she bore false witness. That young man was just trying to do his job, trying to do what was expected of him, and that's it. He wasn't thinking about her. Come on, Israel, know this. You could be about your job, your journey obviously bound, not even considering other folks around you. You being diligent, doing what you're supposed to do. And that can bring forth frustration to people that ain't walking like you walk. To the point your diligence become a bother to them that they will bear false witness on you to deflect from their not doing what they supposed to do. I want to encourage myself in this because this message is to me. Yah sees it all. And though there may become some chastening, because you see he got whooped. Is your life being taken? Can you be restored from this? Because if you know the story of Joseph, you know he ends up serving not just Potiphar, he serves the Pharaoh. And he ends up having the same duties, basically, of maintaining all of Pharaoh's house, just like he did with Potiphar, being a trusted leader over the people, only lower than the Pharaoh. He was the top person other than Pharaoh. He went from being the top person in Potiphar's house to the top person in Pharaoh's house. And yeah, he did some time in jail and stuff like that. Some persecution came his way, but he endured that like a soldier. He endured it to the end and got elevated. Man, it don't feel good to be lied upon. I done been lied upon a lot. You know, my identity stole, all this different stuff that happened. But it has not stopped me from being who I am today. And what's going on at my journey, obviously bound, is not going to stop me from being who I am tomorrow. I gotta, though I'm angry, I gotta choose not to sin. Though they're bearing false witness, my integrity and my name matters. But sometimes people gonna tarnish your name. How you respond? Do you do something that basically validates what they've said, or you do something that validates who you are? It's not easy to not respond to ignorance. Yosef didn't respond to those temptations and it don't even sound like it was a temptation. He was like, "No, I'm cool. I'm straight on that." He was straight on that all along. She doubted herself. I'm good. I'm straight. some people cannot deal with rejection. Some people can't deal with not getting their way. A lot of the bullying that happened, I'm serious. A lot of times people that's diligent in what they do, they basically end up having to not be diligent, or they try to avoid situations and stuff like that. And it's like, man, you end up moving in fear rather than, now you ain't diligent no more because fear is overwhelmed you. You're known for doing your job, but you're not doing it now because, well, I don't want to engage with that situation. It's like, man, and you wish that you could trust the process, because a lot of time the process don't work for us. That one was on him daily, and you come on, the friends knew. You can't tell me other servants didn't see that and didn't know what was going on. But that was going on with him daily, daily. What, 11-month-old child gave back all this happened, all the details. I guess, I know a lot of people say that, but that's Yasher. That didn't happen. But we see, if you watch any type of TV and movie, you see stuff like that happen. If you live your life, you've seen stuff like that happen, where someone is being pressured or bullied from doing what's right. And people see it and they silent. Most bullying situations happen. It's a lot of people that are complicit with it, and most of us, this is a whole side note, this is a rabbit trail. A lot of people talk about how, there's some good cops out there, but there's a lot of police out there that witness some bad stuff and do nothing about it or say nothing about it. Why we don't call them bad too? Because they complicit, not doing nothing to better the situation for the person that's being bullied. Abiyah, thank you for this Shabbat. Thank you for this opportunity. May someone have gained something out of this. I know I have. I was talking to myself on this, but I'm pretty sure that someone can grab a nugget out of this and use it for themselves if they choose to. I don't know how many people listen to this, how many people will listen to this, but I hope that it lands in the hands of whoever you decide needs to hear this type of a word. Yah, favor be to you as we honor you on this day of rest. Again, let your will be done on earth as it is in the Shamayim. Your son, Shanquilla Carter, Shanquilla Yah, One Vision Ministry, Ikad Chazan Sheriff, signing off. Yada Yahuwah. Shabbat Shalom.